Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be focusing on the quarterly chart, which is really telling here that we have in fact begun a new cycle and left behind this bear market. So I'll be covering where I believe we stand in the greater cycle, the 4-year cycle, and talking about what I expect for the remainder of this year and potentially some paths towards the next major bull run. If you guys enjoy the content, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, and commenting below any of your thoughts, questions, or recommendations for videos. So with that said, Bitcoin again has gotten off to a very bullish start with the first 3 months of 2023. And this candle took Bitcoin up around 72% with the open at $16,500 back on January 1st, and then the close that we had just last night all the way up around $28,500. And what's really interesting with this green candle is the fact that it completely took out the previous two red candle bodies, took out the highs, and in fact closed back above all of those levels. And for Confluence, we saw this after retesting the previous all-time high from back in the last cycle. In fact, you can see we bounced perfectly off of these two highs on the candles and really just cemented that flip from previous resistance back in 2018 and 2017 into now support during this market cycle. Now, what makes this candle very telling that we have in fact concluded this bear market is how in previous market cycles, during these bearish declines, we really didn't see any candles that took Bitcoin up pretty significantly and then continued the bearish trend. For example, back here in the 2014 bear market, Bitcoin only had one green quarterly candle, which was the second quarter of 2014, but this green candle did not meet and recover the losses from the previous quarter. It was still about 13-14% below where the previous quarter opened, and then on the next candle, that gain, that recovery was retraced all the way back down for lower lows, with this next quarter down about 40%. And it's a very similar thing that happened right here in the 2018 bear market. The third quarter for Bitcoin yielded a green candle, this one only up around 3%. You can see it did not recover the previous red candle, and then we did make lower lows in the next quarter, really just continuing out the bear market for a very continuous downtrend, with each of these green quarterly candles just marking a bear market rally. But this move and this rally, the reason that it does not look like a bear market rally is again because we have reclaimed and broken back above all of the levels from the previous 2 quarters, and that has brought us up to 10-month highs. And this is really just not something that we have seen within the previous bear markets. But we have seen moves like this before. We have seen incredible rallies that have taken out months and months of negative price action. And the first example that really does look similar to where we are today is all the way back here in the 4th quarter of 2015, after we had already set the bottom, after we had began a new cycle and entered a new bull run. So you can see this candle took Bitcoin up around 81%. It recovered all of this negative price action and really just reversed and marked the ending of this bear market in 2014. Pretty similar here to the 2019 candle, the second quarter where Bitcoin rallied 162%, again recovering the losses from the previous 2 candles and once again revealing that strength, that bull market strength that we do typically see at the beginning of a new cycle. Now, this is not to say that Bitcoin is going to have the exact same path that happened back in 2016 and then 2019 and 2020. In fact, any number of possibilities could play out, but what's really important is that the macro direction has shifted. And when I say that, it's really simple here to look at the quarterly chart because it does filter out all of that day-to-day noise. And when you zoom out here on the quarterly chart, you can see very clear and consistent cycles of about a 1-year bear market followed by a reversal into a new bull run. We have seen that throughout Bitcoin's entire history, and the same thing is playing out and is true for today's market cycle, where we have seen the tides start to reverse and we do begin to look to that upside possibility, reversing this bear market and now giving us the possibility of once again entering another bull market for Bitcoin, where it does go on these multi-month, multi-year rallies, taking us up to a new all-time high. Now, these cycles really do have many differences. In fact, in the 2016-2017 cycle, this move was just a very consistent uptrend with the slope of the move rising every few months, just giving us that perfect parabola. The 2019-2020 had a very different structure. We had a very brief and fast-paced rally from 3 to 14K, followed by a big correction back down, especially back down to the lows during the March 2020 crash. But the end goal was an uptrend and a new bull run. It didn't matter that it was very different in nature to the previous market cycle, and the same is true for today. Do not worry about how this one plays out in comparison to the previous two. We could have a retrace coming back down to lows, forming a double bottom. We could have a very euphoric rally taking us up to an early peak. What matters here is that no matter what characteristics this bull run does have, we do have the longer term trend now working in our favor. And if you can hold on to and ride onto that trend, then in the end, as long as you are here for the ride and can capture a majority of the move, not buying the bottom, not selling the top, but just capturing this opportunity for Bitcoin that we really only see every 4 years, if you can do that, then I think you stand to do quite well. Whether the peak is at a lower high, at something that falls below $69,000, whether it takes up to a higher high above six figures, really in the end, it won't matter. What will matter is that you are here for the ride and that you can recognize that we have shifted from this bear market trend and now we're in a new uptrend. Yes, expect some volatility, expect some very significant corrections along the way, but the end goal and the end move, we do look to the upside. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter, and this is the reason I'm not really throwing out price targets or possibilities, because we really don't know what we could see. Every bull run is different. Every market cycle is going to have different ways of shaking people out, getting people to panic, and then having a lot of people trapped here in these euphoric moments. So the end goal and the end message really here is just to be patient, to recognize the longer term trend that is now working in our favor, and recognize that do expect some shakeouts, do expect some volatility, and do expect that this market cycle most likely will not resemble the previous two. So if you have that in mind and you have this end goal, this end target, and you are patient, given that these are 4-year cycles, then I think you stand to do very, very well. Now, another thing in the last closing note here is that just don't try to be perfect. Don't try to time the market. Don't try to time these upswings and the downswings, because from cycle to cycle, there's a lot of people who try to trade the intraday moves, try to time every single local high, local low, and it really doesn't work out. It brings on too much stress, and you're much better, you're much more positioned if you just hold on to something for a multi-year play or even a multi-month play if we do have a shorter peak. Because trying to time the market perfectly, trying to time and buy the exact bottom is just not realistic. It's not realistic for the vast majority of people, and it's not going to be realistic to the upside. Don't expect to sell the exact top. Don't expect to sell at $69,000 back here in 2021. Just be content with what you have and what kind of upside you can capture. For example, if you were to say take a position in Bitcoin back in 2019 and you missed the lows at $3,000 and instead you bought at 5K and maybe you sold early at say 40K, you still captured a big move to the upside. No, you didn't buy the bottom. No, you didn't sell the top, but you still took on that opportunity that was present. So for Bitcoin, that is what I'm going to be looking out for into say the next year, into the next few years with the new cycle. I hope you guys did enjoy the content. Please do leave your comments and suggestions below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.